In this video, we're going to look at drawing A104, which is going to be called cross sections. And with that, we're going to be creating a section view. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stay on the floor plan drawing. And I want to make sure that I go ahead and create a wall section, and then we'll create the sheet to put it on. So I'm going to go ahead and double left click onto the floor plan to activate it. I'm going to go to the View tab, and I'm going to choose Section. So I want to choose a wall section that shows the eave of the gable or the sloping edge. I know that along this top wall that's on the top part of the sheet, that will show that, as well as the bottom. So actually I'm going to go ahead and down here I'm going to pick this one, and when I click I'm going to actually kind of strategically place it. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go ahead and run the line into the wall. And I kind of want to keep it away from anything if I can do that. I'm also going to shorten it to keep it, and I've actually pulled these dimensions down a little bit so that way this will not interfere with any of those dimensions. We don't want to cover anything up. We don't want anything running into each other. I'm also going to go ahead and shorten the section view, at least the view box or the crop region for it, and that way it does not get that. So I'm going to pull it past inward, so that way it doesn't have the window in there, because I don't really want to show the window as part of this section view, but I want to go ahead and have that happen. Well, I've got this also selected over in the type selector. If building selection is showing up for you, you want to make sure you choose a wall section. Typically building section is what's defaulted. Just select wall section, and that's going to properly identify what type of section view that is. Now I can click off of there, and then from here I can go ahead and deactivate the view. Double left click in the white space or right click and say deactivate view, and then in your project browser you're going to see sections, and you'll have section 1. So I'm going to go ahead and rename section 1 by right clicking, choosing rename, and I'm going to go ahead and call this wall section in all caps. I am going to change the view scale by going down here and going to a 1/2 inch equals a foot. That will change some of the view labels, and I'm also going to bring the crop region a little closer to the model. And actually I'm going to drag this one out just a little bit more, so that way we can see just a little bit more of this, and it also is going to make sure those view labels are going to kind of come out as well. Now the other thing I want to make sure I do is I can hide the crop region now, but I want to adjust these levels so that way they're not running into each other. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag this up. I'm going to drag this line back. I always want to make sure if I'm going to adjust these lines have, like, it's almost like the entire label has an underline underneath it, and I want to make sure these are clearly red. So much like I did in the elevation view, same kind of thing. I'm adding an elbow in and dragging these view descriptors so that way they're more easily read. Okay, and that's exactly what is kind of happening here. All right, so the view is ready to be brought onto the sheet. I'm going to go down to sheets in the project browser, right click, choose new sheet for a B size 11 by 17. I'm going to go ahead and rename and make sure the numbering is correct. So this will be A104. This will be cross sections, and I can go ahead and say OK. And then I can go ahead and drag the wall section onto the drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and place the wall section. So it'll be over here on the left side of the drawing. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double left click to activate the view. If I need to in this view, I could always go through as well and shorten some of these lines for the line levels. However, looks like that top line needs a little bit more brought out, so I'll just extend it out back to where it was a little bit more, maybe not quite as far. But the one thing I need to start doing is adding in some detail components. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move to the Annotate tab under the Detail panel, choosing the Detail Component command, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Load Family. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the foundation, and in the folder called Detail Items is where we're going to find all of these things that we're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to look under is Division 33, which will be Utilities, Sub-Drainage, and I want to choose Drainage Pipes Section and say Open. From here, when I go to run this, now in my Properties menu, I can choose either a 4-inch, 6-inch, or 8-inch PVC drainage pipe. I'm going to choose the 6-inch drainage pipe, and I'm going to zoom in down here, and that drainage pipe is going to go right about here on top of our footing and right up against the foundation wall. Our next one will be, as I go up here, is I'm going to add, going to Load Family. I'm going to use the up one level button a couple times by clicking it. And I'm going to find the Division 6 wood and plastic. I want to find wood framing, and I want to choose nominal cut lumber section and say open. And there's going to be a table that pops up where we can choose that. So I'm going to choose 2x6. I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard. I'm going to choose a 2x10, and those should be the ones that we need. If I need to, I might grab a 2x4 as well. But other than that, those should be the ones that we need, possibly even a 2x8. And I can go ahead and just grab all those and say OK. So that's going to load those in. If I hit the drop down on the properties, here's the nominal cut lumber section. So I'm going to go ahead and do, first I'm going to do a 2x6. And right now, I can go ahead and choose, and the 2x6 end is going to go right here, which is going to represent our mud sill. So now we'll see the section view end of that. I'm also going to choose the 2x10. The 2x10 is going to represent the band board for our flooring. And right now it may look like it's like, okay, that's not really fitting, but here's what may be the other option. So I need to change the level of detail to fine. So down here, now you're going to see the individual lines. And the other thing we may want to do, which we'll turn back on, is up here in your quick access toolbar, you have something called thin lines. And this also shows up on the view tab. But I want to thin the lines so it's a little easier to see, the actual thin boundary lines. Now let's go back to detail component. 2x10, it's definitely going to fit in there a lot better now. So clicking right there, and it is placed. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and choose my 2x6 again. I'm going to hit the space bar to turn it 90 degrees. I'm going to place one end down here at the bottom of the wall. And I'm going to place two at the top of the wall for the double top plate. And that can be put in there. If I want to go ahead and place a 2x8, 2x8 can be placed right up here as part of the end of the framing. And I'll place it, and then I can always rotate it as I need to kind of make that happen. So rotate. I can always place that in right about there. Okay, so that will show that. The last part we're going to do here under component, load the family. I am going to go ahead and go up one level by clicking that a couple times. I do need to go to metals. And with this, common work results for metals, metal fastenings, and then I want to choose here bolts, which will be hook from the side, anchor bolts, hook, side, and I'm going to say open. From this, I've already had this loaded before, so that's why that popped up for me, is when I look at anchor bolts, I can choose what kind of anchor bolt that I want. So here, a 3/4 inch bolt is probably going to work pretty well, and what that does is that's going to fasten the sill plate to the, see if I can get this placed right, or if you can't, I'm just going to go ahead and click and place it. right click, cancel twice, selecting the anchor bolt, choosing the align tool, clicking the top of the sill plate, and clicking the underneath side of the head on the bolt. If I want to lock them, that will go ahead and place the anchor bolt there into our detailed drawing. Our last step that we'll do for part 1 of this video is I'm going to go back to the annotate tab, and I'm going to choose under detail panel, I'm going to choose insulation, and within this, on the insulation width on the side here, we do need to change this to a 5.5 inch width, and I'm going to choose up here at the top underneath the double top plate on the midpoint, click, and we're going to put insulation into the wall, and click all the way down to the top, which is going to have the midpoint represented for the sole plate. And that right now, I'm going to right click and say cancel a couple times, is going to end out this part 1 video of the cross sections drawing. And in the next video, we're going to look at the text tool as well as setting up interior elevations to show onto the drawing to show a few different areas of your affordable home.